Welcome to the module on managing cards, faceted search and smart filters. In this lesson, we will learn how to create and customize faceted search. My name is Apurva and I'm a Senior Product Manager for Oracle Apex. Let's get started. In this lesson, you will learn how to create a faceted search page, one of the most common features in a search page. Then, you will learn how to customize the faceted search region. Finally, you will also learn how to create a new facet.
You were introduced to faceted search in the Apex Foundations course. Let's do a quick review before jumping into the details of faceted search. Faceted search is seen often on the internet, typically on shops or sales websites. The end user can set filters using facets on the left or upper side of the screen. A facet shows possible values together with the occurrence count within the result set. After the end user changes a facet, the results, the dependent facets, and the occurrence counts refresh immediately. A faceted search page features a faceted search region on the left and a report on the right, which can display as a classic report or a cards report. The quick steps involved in creating a faceted search page are as follows. First, you create a new page in your application and select the type as a faceted search. Specify the page attributes. Select a data source for the page. Select your navigation preference and then click Create Page. Let us see a demo on how to create a faceted search page on the sample projects table. Now, I'll be adding a new faceted search page to an existing application. First, click on Create Page from the application home page. Here, select Faceted Search. Specify the page attributes. Select a data source for the page. You can create a faceted search page from a local database, REST-enabled SQL service, or a REST data source. The source type can either be a table or a SQL query. Select a navigation preference. I'm going to leave it as default and click on Next. For local tables, Apex maintains a dictionary cache containing information about the table columns, foreign keys, and the actual data. So based on this cache, Apex can propose appropriate facets and create them automatically for you. You can select or deselect the facets you want to include on your page and then click on Create Page. That's it. Now run the page. You can see the faceted search page where the facets are displayed on the left and the report is displayed on the right. Choosing to filter based on a facet will automatically refresh the report and also the occurrence counts in other facets. As a developer, you can choose how the end user performs the faceted search on the report. Show total row count is an attribute which determines if the row count value displays on the page. The example on the screen is built on the projects table available in the sample dataset called project data. Batch facet changes controls whether report filtering executes as soon as a facet value changes or individually by clicking an apply button. Batch facet changes controls how report filtering executes. When enabled and a user selects a facet, an apply button appears under the facet. The user must click the apply button to apply the facet and then filter the report. When disabled, report filtering executes as soon as the facet value changes. Now let us see how we can enable this from the page designer. I have the faceted search page run from the earlier example. Click on the Edit Page 10 to navigate to the page designer. Here, click on the search region in the rendering tree and select attributes from the property editor. Under Settings, toggle the Batch Facet Changes button to enable it. Review the Show Total Row Count. You can either select yes or no. When this is set to yes, the total row count appears above the report. Now click Save and Run page. Now when I try to filter based on a facet, I get an Apply button below each facet, and only when I click on the Apply button, the report is refreshed based on the facet changes. The total row count is also being displayed since we selected yes. Now, apart from the facets that Apex automatically provides, you can add your own facet to the page. Facets map to a specific database column. When creating a new facet, you can create the following types: checkbox group, input field, radio group, range, search field, or a select list. You can control the facet order in the UI by reordering the facets on the Rendering tab in the Page Designer. Note that there can be at most one search type facet, and if it is present, it displays at the top of the faceted search region no matter where it resides on the rendering tree. The example on the screen shows a new facet called budget less than. Here, the user is provided with an input field where the user can enter a number, and based on the value entered, the report on the right is filtered and the results are shown. Now let us see how we can create this new facet in our application. So from the application, in the developer toolbar, I click on Edit Page 10 to navigate to the Page Designer. To create a new facet, right-click on the Facets group and click on Create Facet. Now ensure that the new facet is selected and specify how this item is rendered. So for type, I select input field and change the label to budget less than. Under settings, for comparison operator, select a comparison operator less than or equals. For current label, provide the text to be displayed for this facet in the current facets area. The current value must be referenced with the %0 placeholder. Enter less than %0. Suffix text. Provide the text to be displayed after the input field. Enter dollars. Now we need to map this facet to the appropriate database column. So under source, for database column, enter the case-sensitive database column name used as a source for this facet. Since this facet maps to the budget column, I enter budget. And the data type is varchar2. Now save and run the page. You can see the new facet budget less than in the facet list. Now enter a value and click on apply. And you see the list of all the projects where the budget is less than 500. Now I know this facet is an important criteria while filtering the report. So I can go back to the page designer and I can move this facet somewhere on top by just dragging and dropping it. Now you can see the budget less than facet somewhere at the top. The current label that we entered is displayed here, and the suffix text is being displayed over here. On the screen, you see a search field that enables the users to filter the facet list. This is called filtering. You can enable this filtering for a facet in the Page Designer. Now let us see how to do that. In the Page Designer, select the facet project And in the property editor, navigate to List Entries group and enable the Display Filter Initially button. Save and run the page. Now this creates an input field where the user can enter a search term and the facet will display only the results from the search term. Now it becomes easier for the user to select from the facet. Now this is particularly useful when there are a huge number of entries for a facet and it becomes very difficult to scroll through the list. Another useful feature when it comes to facet is something like a dependent facet. You can make the display of one facet dependent on another. On the screen, you see the list of facets where Assign To is missing. Depending on the selection of a project, the Assign To facet appears, displaying only the list which match the criteria from the first facet. When the Acme Web configuration project is selected under the project facet, the Assign To appears with the values associated with the configuration project. Let us see how we can create such dependent facet attributes in the page designer. We need to show the Assign To facet only for the selected project by enabling the Depending On attribute. So on the Rendering tab, locate the Assign To facet and in the Property Editor, find the Depending On group and for facet, select the project facet and for type, select is not null. Review the changes and click on Save and run the page. Let me clear all the facet searches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and select Acme Web Configuration. And you can see that the Assign To facet appears with the employee names who are assigned to this project.
To summarize, in this lesson, you learned how to create a new faceted search page. You also learned how to create new facets and customize them. I hope you learned something useful. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the module on managing cards, faceted search, and smart filters. In this lesson, we will learn how to create and customize cards in Apex. Let's get started. In this lesson, you will learn how to create a cards region and customize the cards attributes. Later, you will also learn how to link the cards using actions.
You were introduced to cards in the Apex Foundations course. Let's do a quick review before jumping into the details of creating a cards page. On the screen, you see an example of a cards page built on a sample product table. A cards page features colorful blocks which resemble index cards laid out on a page. Each card can display a variety of information pulled from columns in the underlying table. A cards report region declaratively supports customizations of layout and appearance and the inclusion of icons, badges, media, and actions. You can use cards to embed and share media sourced from a blob column, URL, or video in an iframe. Both the Create Application Wizard and the Create Page Wizard support the creation of a cards page. The quick steps involved in creating a cards page are as follows. First, you create a new page in your application and select cards under component type. Select a table or a view or provide a SQL query on which to build a page. Specify the general page layout, for example, grid, float, or horizontal row. Specify the title column, body column, and optionally the icon initials column. Finally, click on Create. Now let's see a demo on how to create a cards page. I have a samples application already created, so I go ahead and click on Create Page. Here, I select Cards Page. In the Create Cards dialog box under Page Definition, Enter a name for the page and select a page mode. For data source, select a data source for the page. You can create a cards page for either a table or a SQL query for the local database, REST-enabled SQL service, or for REST data source. Select a table. For navigation preference, select how you want this page integrated into the navigation menu and click on Next. You can either select a grid, float, or a horizontal layout. For this demo, I select grid, and under Cards Attributes, select the information to display on each card. For title column, I have the product name, and for body column, I have the product description. You can even enter a column for icon initials and for a badge. If local data source is selected, the title column and the body column are pre-selected from the data dictionary cache. Developers can change these defaults. Finally, click on Create Page. Let's run the page to see how it looks. So here you can see a list of products displayed as a grid of cards. And on the top you see the product name, and below is the product description for each card. You can customize a cards page by editing the attribute groups like appearance, title, subtitle, body, secondary body, icon and badge, or media. Like the example shown on the screen, we are going to configure the grid to display 4 columns and then set a media item for the card. Let's go back to the cards page in the page designer. Here on the rendering tab, select the cards region. In the property editor, click on attributes. The property editor displays the attributes. Now edit the appropriate attributes. For this example, for layout, select grid. Under card, for primary key column, select product ID. Under media, set the source as a blob column, and for blob column, select product image column. Click Save and run the page. Now you can see the images have been added to each of the respective cards. These images are being fetched from the blob column in the table, in the underlying table. Now the title, subtitle, body, secondary body, media include an advanced formatting option which enables support for HTML expressions and supported substitution strings. All free-form text attributes such as CSS classes, icon or image description, or badge label support column substitutions through standard substitution string syntax. A cards page functions as a colorful way to display a subset of information and then enable the user to link to more detail. To create a link from a cards page, you create an action and then select an action type. You can create an action to link from a full card, a title, a subtitle, media, or a button. For example, on the screen, we have linked the cards page with a modal dialog, which displays the product information upon selecting a card. Now let us see how we can add a link to the cards page. So I have the cards page open in the page designer. Under the cards region, that is product details, there's actions. Right-click on actions and create a new action. In the property editor, under identification, select the type of action to add the card. I select type as full card and we need to define the link. Click on No Link Defined for target. In the dialog box, under Target Page, we need to set the page. I have another page created to list the product information, so I select the target as that page. And under Set Items, enter the name of the item where the session state value needs to be passed. I select product ID, and for value, select product ID. So here, the value of product ID from the current cards page will be passed as a session state variable to page 7. So for clear cache, enter a page number, and for action, select Reset Pagination. Click OK. Click Save and Run Page. Now, when I click on a card, a modal dialog displays, displaying all the product information.
To summarize, in this lesson, you learned how to create a cards page and customize the cards attributes. You also learned how to link the cards page using actions. Welcome to the module on managing cards, faceted search, and smart filters. In this lesson, we will learn how to create and customize smart filters. Let's get started. In this lesson, you will learn about smart filters and how to create a new filter. Later, you will also learn how to customize the filter attributes.
On the screen, you see a Smart Filters page built on a sample products table. The Smart Filters page features a single search field with filters at the top of the page and a report at the bottom. Each filter displays a suggestion chip with a single count of how often the specific suggestion value occurs. You can create a Smart Filters page by using either the Create Application Wizard or the Create Page Wizard, or add a Smart Filters region to an existing report in the Page Designer. Although a Smart Filters page behaves similarly to a faceted search, it features a much more space-efficient layout. Let's review the steps involved in creating a Smart Filter. First, you create a new page in your application and select Smart Filters. Specify the page attributes. Select a data source for the page. Select your navigation preference, and finally click Create Page. Now, let's see a demo on how to create a Smart Filter page. I already have a sample application created. From the application homepage, click on Create Page and select Smart Filters. Enter a name for the page. Select a data source. I select the local database and the source type as table. Select a table or view. Select your navigation preference. I accept the default navigation preference and click on Next. Select a type for display as either report or cards and choose the filters you want to include in the report. For the sake of the demo, I'm just going to keep list price and then click on Create Page. Save and run the page. Here you can see the Smart Filter with the input search field displayed at the top and the chips at the bottom. These chips indicate the most popular selection in the report. For example, we have included just the list price filter, and it's showing that there are 3 items with a price greater than or equal to 120. So selecting on the chip will automatically filter the report with the following condition. Selecting the chip name will display a checkbox group, and you can filter based on the value ranges that you require. We can add more smart filters to this page. Filters map to a specific database column. When creating a new filter, you can create the following tags: checkbox group, input field, radio group, and a range. On the screen, you can see a range filter to filter the list price, and you can also see a category filter which maps to the respective database columns in the product table. Let's see how we can add this new category filter. I have the Smart Filters page open in the Page Designer. Navigate to the search region. Right-click on Filters and select Create Filter. Ensure that the new filter is selected and edit the properties in the property editor. For name, I enter category. And for type, I leave it as checkbox group. For list of values, select distinct values. And for source, select a database column. Verify that it is category and data type as varchar2. Now save and run the page. You see that a new chip has appeared under the Smart Filter. Clicking on this new chip will filter the report to display all the products under the men's category. You can enable a client-side filtering attribute for a smart filter, which adds a search field that will enable users to filter the list. As you can see, clicking on the category filter will display the checkbox group along with a filter category search field where the user can enter the text to filter the checkbox group. This is especially helpful when there are a lot of values under one filter. Imagine there are hundreds of categories, and filtering from hundreds of categories and selecting each checkbox would be tedious. So having a filter field will help the user to filter the results from the category list. Now let us see how to enable this filter region for the category filter. Now let us see how to enable the client-side filtering for the category filter. Click on the category filter in the rendering tree, and in the property editor, navigate to the list entries group. Here, enable the client-side filtering attribute. Enabling this option renders the search field above the list entries. Now click on Save and Run page. Let me clear the filters. Now clicking on this filter will enable the search field above the list entries. You can enter a search term and it will filter the results.
To summarize, in this lesson, you learned about smart filters and how to create a new filter. You also learned how to customize the filter attributes. I hope you learned something useful. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the module on creating and using forms. In this lesson, we will learn how to create forms in Apex. My name is Apurva and I'm a Senior Product Manager for Oracle Apex. Let's get started. In this lesson, you learn the different types of application forms. Then, you will learn how to create a new form in an application, link this form to a report, and then modify the form that you created.
Let's understand forms in Oracle Apex. Forms are application components that are basically used for data input from end users. An application form takes input from an end user and saves it into the Oracle database when they submit the page by clicking Apply Changes or Save. For example, you use a form to insert data into the employees table. You can create forms either manually or by using Wizard. You can create a form as a new page in an application or as a region on an existing page in an application. Developers can create three basic form types: editable interactive grid, form, or master detail. Forms are made up of fields called items, which can be selected from a multitude of built-in types such as text fields, text areas, radio groups, select lists, checkboxes, date pickers, and pop-up list of values. Developers can also create their own custom item types using plugins. Let's understand the three ways in which you can create a form in your application. Using the Create Page wizard. The easiest way to create a form is to use the Create Page wizard. Using this, you can create a form on an external data source as well. Using the Create Application wizard. When creating a new application, you can create three basic form types: editable interactive grid, form on a table, or a master detail. Create a form region in the Page Designer. In the Page Designer, you can drag and drop a form region from the gallery. Alternatively, under Rendering, right-click on Regions and select Create Region to create a form region type. Both the Create Application wizard and the Create Page wizard support the creation of a simple form. The main difference between the two wizards is that the Create Page wizard offers more customization and data source options. Using the Create Page wizard, the developer has the option to select a data source that is a local database, REST-enabled SQL service, or a REST data source. Additionally, the developer can also specify whether to include and configure breadcrumbs or a navigation menu and select the columns and the order in which they display. Let us learn about the form types you can create using the Create Page wizard. In the Create Page wizard, you can choose any of the following form types. Form. This creates a form that enables users to update a single row on the specified data source, which can be a table, SQL query, or REST source module. The second is an interactive grid. This presents users a set of data in a searchable, customizable report. We saw in the previous lesson that when the edit attribute is enabled, the end user can add, update, or delete rows right in the interactive grid. In the Create Page wizard, you also have an option to select the master page type. When you select master detail, you can choose from any of the following types: stack, side by side, or drill down. You learn more about an editable interactive grid and master detail in the upcoming lessons. The screen shows the project details form, which is created on the projects table using the Create Page wizard. A form basically enables users to update a single row in the database table. The wizard allows you to choose a table on which to build a form. The wizard creates the Create and Cancel buttons on the page. You can create a new row in the table by entering the details in the form and clicking the Create button. The form inserts data into the table and you are redirected to a page that you specified while creating the form. If you click Cancel, you are returned to the page that you specified while creating the form. Now let's walk through the steps of creating a form using the Create Page wizard. After you navigate to the application homepage, you click on Create Page. The Create a Page dialog opens. Here, you can either select Form, Interactive Grid, or Master Detail. If you select Master Detail, you can choose from the following: Stack, Side by Side, or Drill Down. What appears next depends upon the form that you select. Then you follow the on-screen instructions. Let's walk through the steps of creating a form using the Create Application wizard. On the Workspace homepage, you click the App Builder icon and you click on Create and select New Application. Here you enter details such as application name and select the appearance. Then you click on Add Page under Pages. In the Add Page dialog, select Form. Then you enter the form page details such as name, table name, and if you select the Include Report checkbox, it creates a report and a form. The first page is an interactive report. Each row provides a link to a form where users can update a record. Finally, you click on Add Page. Once you select the features to include in the application and specify the settings, you click on Create Application. Now let's see a demo on how to create a form. Here, I already have an application created for this demo. From your application homepage, click on Create Page. And I select Form. On the Page Attributes dialog, I enter a page name and select the page mode. You can either select Normal, Modal dialog or a drawer. In this example, I select Normal. For the data source, you can either select Local Database, REST-enabled SQL Service, or REST Data Source. Local database is where the data is sourced from a local database. In REST-enabled SQL Service, data is sourced from a remote database where the connection is defined using REST-enabled SQL. To create or maintain REST-enabled SQL references, navigate to Shared Components and REST-enabled SQL. For REST data source, data is sourced from a RESTful web service defined using REST source modules. Create or maintain REST data sources, navigate to Shared Components and select REST data sources. For this example, I select Local Database and I select the source type as Table and select the table name. Select the navigation preferences. For this demo, let us deselect Use Breadcrumb and Navigation and click on Next. Here, you need to specify a primary key. By default, it picks up the primary key of the table that we selected. Now you must understand that for the DML operations to function properly in a form, each row in the table should be uniquely identifiable. You generally specify a primary key for a table. The Create Form wizard in Apex allows you to specify a maximum of 2 primary key columns. Now if your table does not have a primary key, then you must use row ID. Row ID is a pseudo column that uniquely identifies a row in the table. For branch pages, select the page to branch to on Submit and when you click on Cancel and click on Create Page. Now run the page. Here you can see the form with a list of fields. Enter the values of this form and you can either click on Create to enter a record into the table or click on Cancel to go back to the home page. When you create a form, the wizard automatically creates the required report and form and the links between them. You can also link interactive and classic reports to existing forms. Now, I'm going to show you how we can link an interactive report to the form that we just created earlier. For the purpose of this demo, I have already created an interactive report built on the projects table. To link a report to a form, first, I've opened the interactive report in the Page Designer. Under Rendering, select the interactive report under Body and in the Property Editor, select Attributes. Then, locate the link group in the Property Editor and select Link to Custom Target. Click the No Link Defined for Target. Here, select the target form page. Select the item and value that is to be passed with the link. For example, I select P3 underscore ID for name, and ID for value. Click OK. Now click on save and run the page. Here you can see the interactive report being displayed. Click on any of the edit icon for a record and it opens the corresponding form page with the values of that row pre-filled. Now you can edit these values and click on apply changes, or you can delete the row altogether. These changes will be reflected in the database table. Since I chose page 1 to branch to after clicking apply changes, it has taken me to the home page. Go back to the interactive report and you can see the updated row. While working with forms, you might want to quickly change the format of a page item or rename a label. When you run a page, modifying objects is easy using Quick Edit. Use the Quick Edit control in the Runtime Developer toolbar and select a desired component to instantly access that component in the page designer. When you click on Quick Edit, it changes the cursor to a plus symbol. Moving this plus over the page highlights individual components such as regions, buttons, and items. When the page component you want to edit is highlighted, click that component and Apex automatically opens the page in the page designer with the same component pre-selected. This makes it easy for you to edit the properties in the property editor and quickly make the desired changes. For example, I want to change the type of P3 status to a select list. So I go to the property editor and change the type to select list. For list of values, select SQL query and enter the SQL query to fetch the value for status. Now click on save. Run the page. Here you can see that the status in the form has been converted into a select list and you can choose from the following options. Let us go back to the page designer. You can also reorder the items in a form page. To do so, you can either drag and drop the item in the rendering tree, or you can also drag and drop the item in the central pane. Another option is to select the page item in the central pane, right-click to display the context menu, select Move to, and navigate to the appropriate location of the tree structure. Then select the position where you want to place the item.
To summarize, in this lesson, you learned how to create a form in an Apex application. You later learned how to link this report to a form and also modify the form that you created. I hope you learned something useful. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the module on creating and using forms. In this lesson, we will learn how to create an editable interactive grid. Let's get started. In this lesson, you will understand and create an editable interactive grid.
In an editable interactive grid, users can add to, modify, and refresh the dataset directly on the page. Editable interactive grids expand the functionality of regular interactive grids to enable users to directly update a grid's structure and contents. Users can add and delete rows, edit cell contents, and refresh the grid with the latest updates. The screen shows the project details editable interactive grid created using the Create Page wizard. An interactive grid automatic row processing or DML process is added by default when an interactive grid is made editable. Let's discuss the key features of editing an editable interactive grid. The grid is a navigation mode where arrow keys move from cell to cell. To enter the edit mode, press the edit button, or you can double click on a cell or press enter key on the keyboard or F2 key in a cell. To exit edit mode, press the edit button again or press the escape key on the keyboard. Edit controls such as radio groups or text areas that don't fit in a cell are displayed in a floating pop-up. The pop-up can be moved or collapsed to see the data under it. The Ctrl F6 key will collapse and expand the floating group. Use the delete key to delete the selected rows. Use the insert key to add a row. The Actions menu allows you to perform actions on the row such as delete or duplicate. The menu in the header is a selection actions menu that acts on the current selection. The copy down, fill, and clear actions work with a row or cell range selection. Use the actions selection, cell selection to toggle selection mode or press F8 key. Copy down requires at least 2 rows to be selected. You can create an editable interactive grid in Apex in 2 ways. Using the Create Application wizard, select Add Page and select Interactive Grid. Enter the interactive grid page details. Another way is to navigate to the application homepage, click on Create Page, and select Interactive Grid as component type. Notice that the Allow Editing option is selected to make it an editable interactive grid. Now let us go back to the Apex workspace and see how we can create an editable interactive grid using the Create Page wizard. Now I have a sample application open in my Apex workspace. To create a new page, you click on Create Page and select Interactive Grid. On the Create Interactive Grid dialog, specify the name of the page, and for data source, specify the data source. I select Local Database and select the table name. Toggle the editing enable to yes, and I'm going to disable the breadcrumb by navigation. Click on Next. For primary key column, notice that the ID column is pre-selected. Accept the default and click on Create Page. Save and run the page. As you can see, an interactive grid is created from the projects table. Now, to edit any record in this report, you can directly go to the particular field and edit it. Once you complete editing the values in this report, you can click on Save to save the changes.
To summarize, in this lesson, you learned how to create an editable interactive grid. I hope you learned something useful. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the module on creating and using forms. In this lesson, you will learn how to create master detail forms in Apex. Let's get started. In this lesson, you will first understand what a master detail form is. Later, you will learn to create various master detail forms like side-by-side, stacked, and two-page drill-down master detail forms.
A master detail form reflects a one-to-many relationship between tables in a database. Typically, a master detail form displays a master row and multiple detail rows. When you create a master detail form using the Create Page or the Create Application wizards, you choose the tables on which to build the master form and the detail form. 3 options are available when you choose master detail in the Create Page wizard: stacked, side by side, and drill down. Let's learn about each of these master detail styles in detail. A side-by-side master detail form contains a single page master detail utilizing side-by-side layout and report regions with modal edit windows. The left side contains a master list to navigate to the master record. The right side contains the selected master record and the associated detailed report. You can create side-by-side master detail with either the Create Application Wizard or the Create Page Wizard. On the screen, you see an example of master detail regions on the same page. The department names with location are displayed on the left. You can select a record from the master on the left to render the details of the employees corresponding to that department on the right without leaving the page. Let us review the steps in creating a side-by-side master detail. You can create a new application or create a new page in an existing application. Add a new page and select Master Detail. Specify the page attributes, select the table and display columns, and finally click Add Page. If you're creating a new application, finish creating the application. Now let's see a demo of creating a side-by-side master detail in the Apex workspace. Now I'm going to create a new application and click on Add Page. Here, select Master Detail. Enter a page name and side by side is selected by default. Select the table. Enter a primary display column. For this, select a column to display as primary column in the report to navigate to a different master record. In this example, let's choose D name. And for secondary display column, select the column to display as secondary column in the report to navigate to a different master record. In the slide, we select LOC. Detail table. Enter the detail table. As you can see, only the tables which are related to the master table are displayed in the list. Select the employee table. You can select multiple detail tables and click on Add Page. Now click on Create Application. Run the application. Here you can see the side-by-side master detail that we just created. Click on any of the departments and you will see the employee list belonging to the department displayed on the right. Now let's move on to creating a stacked master detail. A stacked master detail features two editable interactive grids based on two related tables or views. Users select a row in the master grid to update the detail grid. Developers can create a stacked master detail form with either the Create Application Wizard or the Create Page Wizard. The example on the screen displays master detail interactive grids on the same page. The user has the option of interacting with either the master or the detail without leaving the page. For example, if I select a department like accounting in the master grid, I can view details of the employees corresponding to the accounting department in the detail grid. Now let's see a demo of creating a stacked master detail in the Apex workspace. Now I have the same application open which I created earlier. So let's go ahead and create a new page. Here select Master Detail and here you are displayed with the options of Stack, Side by Side and Drill Down. Stacked is selected by default, so click on Next. Enter the page name and select the master data source. Here I select a local table. Remember, you can also select from a REST data source or a REST-enabled SQL service. Click on Next. Select the primary key, the name of the column that uniquely identifies a row in the table. Since department number is chosen by default, I click on Next. Here, enter the information about the detailed data source. As you can see, only the related tables are displayed since this toggle button is checked. Click on Next. Select the primary key for the detail table and select the master detail foreign key. Select the foreign key that relates between the master and the detail tables. Click on Create Page. Now save and run this page. Here you can see the stacked master detail form being displayed. The top region is the master region, and when you click on any of the departments, the bottom region refreshes and is also the detail region, which displays the employees belonging to the particular department. Also notice that the master and detail regions are interactive grids, and you can edit the values directly in the grid. And when you click on Save, these changes will be saved into the table. Now that we saw how to create a side-by-side and a stacked master detail, let's learn about the last type of master detail form called a two-page drill down. A drill down master detail contains two pages based on two related tables or views. The first page contains an interactive report for the master table. Users can click on the edit icon on the first page and edit the details on the second page. In the example shown on the screen, users can click on the edit icon to access all employees within a department. The second page includes both a standard form for the master and the editable interactive grid of employees. Developers can create a drill-down master detail with the Create Page wizard. The developers cannot create this type of page using the Create Application wizard. Now let's see a demo of creating a drill-down master detail. I will navigate back to the application homepage of the same application that we created earlier and click on Create Page. Here, select the page type as Master Detail. For the Master Detail style, select Drill Down. On the Create Master Detail wizard, enter the details such as name and select a data source for the master. I select the department table. Click on Next. Notice that the primary column is selected by default. For form navigation order, select the navigation order column used by the previous and the next buttons on the detail page, which navigates to a different master record. For this example, let's select department number. Click Next. Here, enter the detail page information and select the detail table and click on Next. Select the primary key for the detail column and select a master detail foreign key relationship. And finally, click on Create Page. Now click on Save and Run page. Here you can see the drill down master detail that we created just now. The master page displays the department details in an interactive report. Clicking on any of the edit icon will open a different page with a form to edit the department details and the employees being displayed as an interactive grid.
To summarize, in this lesson, you learned about master detail forms. Later, you learn to create various master detail forms like side-by-side, stacked, and two-page drill-down master detail forms. I hope you learned something useful. Thank you for watching.